Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So good to be back from vacation. I'll tell you, though, while I was gone, Barack Obama did what he does best. He left the golf course and he went overseas, to China in this case, and trashed our country while overseas. That's what he does best. He was defending Colin Kaepernick. You know, the guy who wears socks that have pictures of pigs with police hats on them. Yeah, he was defending Colin Kaepernick.
In terms of Mr. Kaepernick, you know, I got to confess that I haven't been thinking about football while I've been over here, and I haven't been following this closely. But you know, my understanding at least is that he's exercising his constitutional right to make a statement. I think there's a long history of sports figures doing so. I think there are a lot of ways you can do it.
And of course, Barack Obama made it clear that we here in our country still have racism problems, and that Kaepernick, I guess, I don't know, maybe he likes the socks Kaepernick wore. Because here's what Obama said, again, while standing in China, about our country.
But I don't doubt his sincerity based on what I've heard. I think he cares about some real, legitimate issues that have to be talked about.
Yeah, you know, real, legitimate issues that have to be talked about. Like wearing socks that depict police as pigs. Leave it to our commander-in-chief, doing what he does best, trashing America on foreign soil. But not any foreign soil, China. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, earlier on America Talks Live, which is my new show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday, in addition to this show, we talked to the great, the one, the only Andy McCarthy, all about Hillary's FBI interview. I want you to watch. All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining us now to talk about all this, the great Andy McCarthy, contributing editor for National Review, senior fellow at the National Review Institute, former federal prosecutor, and author of Faithless Execution, Building the Political Case for Obama's Impeachment. Andy, welcome to the new kickoff of America's Talking, sir. Thanks for being my first guest.
My pleasure, Steve. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. All right, so you have written extensively about this FBI interview, and Trump brought up Cheryl Mills, without naming her, as being acting as her attorney. Before we get to that, the things that she told the FBI, that she admitted to the FBI, Andy, I mean, most prominently, is that she couldn't remember if being briefed in 2008 about the use of emails and the use of how to classify documents. She couldn't remember because she had a concussion in 2012. My God, she's admitting that, yes, there's very reasonable concern about her health.
Well, that's at the very least true, Steve. I think there's a lot more concern about her honesty, frankly, than her health, because she obviously signed documentation acknowledging that she had been briefed. And, you know, if you take that one thing in isolation, maybe anybody can have, you know, a momentary brain fog in the course of an interrogation. But if you put it in combination with the other things she said, it just becomes very clear that the story she gave the FBI was a preposterous one.
Right. See, I tweeted out after that and posted on my Facebook page that either Hillary Clinton is seriously ill or she was toying with the FBI during her interview for pure sport, making a mockery. What do you think happened?
Well, you know, number one, I'd say I don't think it's mutually exclusive that she may have health problems and she may be incredibly dishonest. I think both those things may well be true. But I don't know that it doesn't seem to me so much that she was toying, Steve, although that may have been the effect of it, as that this was a very elaborate, well thought out way to avoid providing Congress, and not just Congress, but also other lawful investigations that were going on. Freedom of Information Act litigations. There's a criminal indictment involving one of the jihadists that was involved in the Benghazi attack. Her documents were relevant to all of these official investigations. I think they did a very elaborate, well planned out scheme to shield her documents from the lawful access of these different investigations. But the most outrageous one is clearly the one involving Congress and the Benghazi committee. because I think what they did with respect to that is mind-boggling, frankly.
All right, and I want to get to this before I get to Cheryl Mills. You have a piece out about impeaching Hillary Clinton, and you say, yes, I think you did, I'm pretty sure you did, Hillary can be impeached by the Congress. Now, explain.
Yeah, impeachment commonly to people suggests that it's just removal from office. But if you look carefully at the Constitution, what it says is that that impeachment is about not only removal from office, but disqualification from any future office of high trust under the United States. And the framers' model for the impeachment clause was the impeachment trial in Parliament of Hastings, of Warren Hastings, the former Governor General of Britain, that was going on at the same time that the Constitution was written. That's interesting because Hastings was out of office at the time he was impeached.
So if Congress wanted to do this, they could take it up.
Yeah, but look, I'm not a pie in the sky person. I'm trying to be hard-headedly practical here, right? I know that the Democrats in the Senate are never, ever going to vote to remove or to disqualify Hillary Clinton.
Right.
My point is that Congress and the House has it within their own power, for all the complaining about the FBI and the Justice Department,
to just impeach. They could impeach.
Yeah. Well, and at the very least, Steve, they can have hearings from now until November, which would be about her record and her high crimes and misdemeanors, which would rivet the country's attention in a very unique and powerful way to what her record is. And that's something they could do by themselves. They don't need the FBI for that.
If the leadership wanted Donald Trump to win, they might just do that. But I don't see that happening at all.
We want the country to win, right? And one way the country wins is you expose somebody who is extremely corrupt.
All right, let's talk about your piece on Cheryl Mills. How did Cheryl Mills sit in on Hillary Clinton's FBI interview?
You know, Steve, I think that the whole nub we're going to see of all the crazy shenanigans and the, taking hammers to communications devices and bleach bit to server systems and all that stuff, what we're going to find rooted in the middle of all this is a theory that the Justice Department decided to indulge here, that basically if you bring your lawyer or someone you claim to be your lawyer into the middle of all of your planning and all of your instructions, no matter how corrupt and obstructive they may be, that you can shield those communications from the FBI. And that's what Mrs. Clinton did. She basically said that Cheryl Mills, among the legion of other lawyers she had, was her lawyer for purposes of putting together and producing to the State Department the emails that she shouldn't have had on a private server in the first place. It was Mills and the legal team that made the decisions, according to Clinton, of what got purged. And in this case, purging was scorch the earth, right? They destroyed things, they didn't just delete them. And what got produced to the State Department. And when the FBI tried to investigate this, when they tried to ask, what were the arrangements? What were the instructions? How did you decide which ones to get rid of and which ones to turn over to the State Department? The answers were, we can't go into that attorney-client privilege. And the Justice Department decided to put up with that. It would be like if John Gotti decided, instead of sitting down with his capos, to sit down with his lawyers.
Unbelievable.
And have them give the instructions.
Folks, read this piece at National Review Online, the corner column by the great Andy McCarthy. Andy, thank you so much.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me.